Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are on this big planet Earth of ours. I'm Doc Skinner, and this is the Doc Skinner Podcast. Welcome. It is March 9th, 2025, 3 p.m. Arizona time. Hope you're all doing well. Lots of craziness going on in the world, a lot of good stuff, a lot of weird stuff, and a whole bunch of stuff in between. But we put together this event in May and June during the weekends, and we're having 4 specialty speakers each week, and it's reserved for 20 people. So it's going to be completely exclusively inclusive. So for those of you that spend thousands and thousands of dollars traveling cross country, going to conventions, being in a big crowd of 300 to 400 people, maybe even more, 1,000, and you're standing in line ready for a question, maybe they cut it off before you get to go, maybe you forget the question, then you're lucky, if you get a selfie and you don't have to pay for it or an autograph, and that's it. I mean, that's great. It's awesome. That's why we go. It's fun, the excitement, meet everybody. But if you just wanted to have some quality time with these speakers, with you and just 19 other people around a campfire under the stars, I mean, having deep discussions and selfies that have more credibility than standing in front of a step and repeat. So I've got that going on, and I have a whole list of guests. I did have Brooks Agnew, but he's not here as of yet, or I don't know. Maybe he forgot. But Rex Bear was hopefully going to be coming on too. But I can tell you who did come on. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to my friend, Tony Rodriguez.
Hey, I popped right up. It was
How are you?
Doc, it's great to see you. It's been a long time, man. Thanks for having me back. I'm very honored to participate in your event. It sounds great. And I'm in the neighborhood. I'm over in Sedona, not too far away.
Fantastic. So you've been doing your rounds, haven't you? You've been doing a lot of stuff since now the iron's hot and everybody's talking.
Well, I
It's so funny because it's all new news.
Yeah, well, I say it a lot. Like, I thought I was just going to come out 9 years ago and tell my story and be on a show and say those guys are doing it, and they're right. It's real, and it isn't what happened. It was like one thing led to another, the dominoes, and the more I learned very special things, and I've been unpacking them, and I started to work on technology that, from what I remember, and from rubbing elbows with people in the community and kind of going back and forth, and I've developed some really cool technologies, and I've got a couple companies, sister companies popping up, and the information has proliferated. So people do ask me, I'm not doing as many interviews as I used to, because I think that a few people threw a real monkey wrench into the works of the SSP testimonies. So there was some real sabotage, and the main crowd that was following it kind of got disgusted and looked away. So I do less interviews in total, but I'm doing more speaking events, more speaking engagements, and there's more people involved. Also, I unpacked remote viewing. So I went and realized that I was in a remote viewing. In your current days, the early days of my abduction, it was advanced remote viewing and psychoenergetics research. Well, that's why they took us for that first year, basically. And then when I went to Peru, that's what I was field operational doing. So I told the story, I think, last time I was here. I just want to say I don't have to tell the story, because the net result is that I went back to the place physically and I filmed it. So Tyler Koala, who's going to also be at one of your guests.
Hold on. What place did you film?
In California. So on my 20 and back, when I was abducted, I woke up with no memories. And my 20 and back, I woke up in Inyo Kern, California, and it was a derivative project of Project Grill Flame, and they were running kids through psychoenergetic and remote viewing research. And I had fragmented memories of it, but I went back to I got a hold of Tyler. I said, man, if somebody could film me, it could be evidence. So let's go. He's like, yeah, I'll go. And he filmed me, and we drove around. We stayed a couple days there in Ridgecrest. And I went back to the site, and lo and behold, the same exact building was there, exactly how I described it 9 years ago. I literally walked into the same exact place where I woke up on my 20 and back, the very first moment that I woke up after the abduction. Where am I? Who am I? What's going on? I went back and physically stood in that place. I found it. And when I was there,
Wow.
you remember more new stuff. It's like instead of remembering just the traumatic memories that I always talked about the MK Ultra, the trauma-based mind control programs, things they did to us. But
Mhm.
now back, I could smell it and feel it, the same humidity, the same noise, the jets flying over. And when
Right.
places have an energy. When I went back there, I could remember the conversations and the things we were doing. And I went back home and started really researching. And lo and behold, I found the paper trail. I found the money. So the project itself was classified, but they still had to submit reports to Congress to get money. And you look at the dates,
Mhm.
the date of the program, they match up. I was taken April 15th, 1982. The Grill Flame funding ran out on April 6th, and then there was they had a deliberation, a committee, Joint Senate Arms Committee about it all the way till January, and I was in Inyokern from April to January till December. So there was a lot. It all came
Wow.
together exactly like it should have, and there was legal. Um, so they had the buildings classified as special districts, so it was not under the jurisdiction of local or military law enforcement. So it's perfectly legal
Hmm.
to torture kids in those buildings, and they're still
Mhm.
classified that way. Um, but I also remembered a lot of the techniques and some of the stuff that was classified, and so I've unpacked and I began a remote viewing. I teach remote viewing now, remote viewing and psychoenergetics. We do remote influencing. We
Wow.
do a lot, and I was the first one publicly to disclose the ability to have countermeasures or blocking to remote viewing last year. In my third book, Beyond Sight, I came out with
Mhm.
it and said that a lot of the funding for the program that I was in, for the first program I was in before I was sold off to the space program and put into the secret space program, the purpose of that was countermeasures to remote viewing. They were researching countermeasures, and in my team, one of my teams, we proved it. We had a few exercises. We worked on it for a couple, 2 or 3 months, and we were able to block remote viewing reliably. And so I put that out, and anyhow, that's what I've been up to, man.
Well, yeah, you mentioned that. I just saw a clip of another young lady who's a remote viewer, and she talked about remote viewing Antarctica, and she was seen by, I guess, another entity, and she said how she sees other people remote viewing in the room. This was a
Oh, come on back. You broke up for me. I can't hear you.
very
We're
love
frozen.
what you're doing, or is that and
You
every
broke up for me,
time.
Doc. I lost you for a minute.
I'm no, it's just whenever I have the best guests on, there's always glitches. It just gremlins every time. And I
That's all right.
just I just had to laugh because um I was saying, could this blocking technique, could that been what is it would that allow you to block somebody, but could you see them remote
Yes.
viewing?
Oh,
Yeah.
so for the classes that I hold, I mean, I'm up to like 70 remote viewers now. People
Oh,
that
oh
are in
wow.
remote viewing groups. So 40 or 50 in the main groups, and then people that have graduated and went on there. I have a professional group. We remote view for hire. Um, People in the class, we look at mundane targets. We look at silly targets. You know,
Hmm.
um, the fountain in the town square in some town in Idaho. You know what I mean? Like this town has a little town. That's our target, or the Eiffel Tower, right? So we look
Yeah.
at simple targets, and there's not exactly people defending those. The professional groups, however, and some of the advanced groups, we start targeting things that also, we've targeted random places that were supposed to be just a beach in the Florida Keys, like just a random
Uh-huh.
beach, and everybody got underground alien base and started seeing eyeballs looking back at them. And so you
Wow.
randomly see things that when you're in the proximity of the target, you can see things that are hidden there. The people experience it, and the rule is I'm quoting Russell Targ. Um, the rule is that the harder you try to hide something, the brighter it shines to the remote viewer. And that would
Okay.
absolutely, in my experience with the data we've gotten, it's exactly the case. Um,
And why is that? It seems like it's just doing an opposite. How does
well,
it create
because
an opposite reaction?
Probably, and I'm not gonna say definitely because I haven't conducted research on it, but probably my best hunch is that because you're putting conscious energy into it. So remote viewing is consciousness based, and the universe is.
Okay.
So that's I think that's a big chunk of science they've hidden from us, is that much of the universe is based on consciousness, not just energy or matter. And
So the more
so
consciousness they use for the blocking, the brighter they look.
exactly,
Aha.
exactly.
Okay. All right. I like to think I know a couple things.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm trying to I'll line them up, you knock them down.
No, no, that was pretty, I like that. So I'm a big fan of remote viewing. I first heard about it on our Bell Coast to Coast with Major Ed Dames when he was, very the way he got the info out there was just brilliant. He couldn't tell anybody about the missions, but he could get them coordinates and see what they said. I mean, it was brilliant. And yeah, I got to spend 22 hours with him in Vegas at an event, and then we hung out afterwards, fireside chat kind of thing at the bar. Told me some amazing things. A couple things he probably shouldn't have, but alcohol. So,
Vegas event, right? Is that what you said?
huh?
So
Yeah, it was in Vegas, Horseshoe or something, one of those hotels, and a big ballroom. But yeah, he remote viewed a sanctuary, my personal sanctuary, which is where I'm at. So, and I've been wanting to send him a thank you video for years now, because I've done more here in 10 years than I've probably done my whole life combined. So it was well, life that I remember. So um, I had a bunch of questions and they all just flew out the window.
I know the feeling. I do it all the time. Well, like I was saying, to get back to your other question, is when we start looking at targets that have real you know what I mean, military targets or real profound targets, craft and
Hmm.
secret bases and things, we start to see other people looking at us. We start to get the experience of another team remote viewing it, or even extraterrestrials remote viewing it. So we've had that experience.
Okay.
There's very few, because like I said, what you have to protect yourself in remote viewing, and one of the best ways to do that is to what you're targeting, right? To not
Okay.
remote view a war scene or a crime scene, right? So you have to energetically protect yourself, and the very best thing to do. And there are people that, like I said, the professional groups, they're aware of this and they have protocols for it. There are things you do right in the middle of the session. You go, oh, whoa, they're looking back at me, and you kind of go out, you step out, and um, change the lens, kind of thing.
Okay.
So
Now,
there are
now
protocols.
I'm actually writing a book, first one right now, and having to be a little more overly descriptive than the original story. Um, I've heard this on multiple occasions. This concept of being able to be seen or see while you're remote viewing another remote viewer. If you had to use a scene or an effect in a movie to best describe how it looks, is it ghostly? Is it just
Yeah.
a ball of light? Because
So
that's no one ever explains that far into it,
you don't see per se, you feel you
Okay.
feel it, and then you draw it out and it makes sense. So I don't want to give away all my tricks. So there's I
Oh,
teach
okay.
basic
Sorry,
CRV.
didn't mean to do that.
I teach basic CRV, so coordinate or controlled remote viewing. We do the stages, in the basics, and then people
Mhm.
stick with it. It's about practice. It's about lifting the weights. It's not about learning how to lift the weights. It's a right. I tell everybody in the class when they sign up, say I can make you a video that tells you how to use everything in the gymnasium, all the weights, the proper way to do sit-ups and everything, and you can watch that
Mhm.
video all weekend long. You won't be any stronger. You won't be in any better shape. You got to actually do the
Right.
exercise. And that's my method of teaching, is not teaching the method, but giving them targets and then going over the data and just repeat. um, but if you say like, so you feel what it is, and then there are some tricks to really flesh out what it looks like. So that's we
Wait,
get
you
into
said
more
it.
advanced stuff. Whatever the
You said
target
what
is.
it?
Yeah, so the
Oh, okay.
target is usually a person, place, or thing. The targets can be an intention or a feeling, an emotion. Targets, there can be advanced targets. It could be a series of events, but most targets are a
Mhm.
person, place, or thing. Um, when we get into the advanced stuff and we start looking at advanced target or tricky targets, and you start becoming yeah, the best way that I would describe it is imagine feeling a scene completely with your eyes closed and being accurate without standing in a room and feeling everything around you with your eyes closed. And then what it feels like when there's another remote viewer, the last scene of Return of the Jedi where
Mhm.
Luke is standing
Mhm.
there and
Oh,
he's in the seat, and
yeah,
then Yoda pops up, and then Obi-Wan pops up, and then they're
right. They're
ghostly.
like bluish haze.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like you're in the room and you're a ghost, and there's another ghost there remote viewing as well, and you can feel them and on some level interact with them, but albeit not greatly. And they seem to want to interact too, but I haven't had. I've had a few physical things happen. Like I've had things in the house flex and move around. Um, but these were extremely advanced targets, extremely advanced, stuff. Yeah, like I said, I pushed it for the first last year when I let out my book Beyond Sight. I had the policy of sharing everything. The countermeasures on how to do blocking was actually counterintuitive to. I was teaching people and put it out in my book on how to ruin my class.
Mm.
I gave out the method, but the thing was, there was a lot of debate about the accuracy of remote viewing, and people are claiming that it's infallible when in fact there are defenses against it. And we see on the corporate level, we don't people don't realize this, but I can't say all of them, but many of the larger institutions in the world, the banks, there's paperwork of Boeing and McDonnell Douglas training remote viewers. So there are banks I
Yeah.
know personally from people in the financial sector that remote viewing is one of the primary ways that they're predicting the stock market. I forget where I was going to go with that, but it's more prevalent than people realize. The methods.
Yeah.
Um,
I wouldn't say technology, but the skill sets of doing it. Especially
oh,
since like, you know,
that's the point I
you
wanted
had,
to finish. Was
okay.
that when I did the blocking, when I released that in the book on how to block, we've since then found ways to deal with the blocking. So it's a tit for tat. So it's basically, do you have your shields up or not? Um, I had the policy of I'll share everything that we research in the groups. I'll share all of it that we research and with the public, because I had an open policy. But then I got into some really advanced stuff, and there's things that I just really can't. It's dangerous to share. It's like
Yeah.
giving people, step
Like
by
giving a
step
kid
guide.
a dynamite.
Yeah, a monkey with a loaded gun is what it feels like. So there are things that
Yeah.
I reserve only for the very advanced class and the professional group. There's things there, and I would love to present the data because it's jaw dropping, but I can't in good conscience do that publicly. I just can't. I mean, maybe in the
Yeah.
future I can allude to how it works and kind of not show. Well, whatever. I better shut up.
I actually saw an interview with a Navy specialist who was a psychic for the Navy. And she goes that she says that she was groomed through school, through the academy, but it wasn't a job. At least this is what she says in the interview. So there's probably something else that she does. But she said she was used because she could feel the mechanics in machines, like in the submarines and on a jet. She could put her hand on it and she could tell you what was wrong with the mechanisms. And so when you were
Wow.
mentioning earlier the feeling things, that I had to write that down so I remember to mention it. So that was new to me. I never heard psychics being used for mechanical purposes.
So,
So
the Monroe Institute really had some public things, and you can do problem solving.
mhm,
So there are binaurals and methods that you do before bed that are problem solving. And in fact, that's
mhm.
how Bob Monroe said that he developed a lot of the Monroe Institute technology, was that he was going into a trance-like state and communicating with ETs or extra dimensionals while he was sleeping, and that's who told him how to do binaurals. But that's the story behind it.
I was about to say,
Research
well,
in
who gave him the ideas? But yeah.
I was going to say that I went into binaurals. So I have a sister company from what I started to reverse engineer the learning system. I have Maple Street Learning, and this is a software that is based on what I remember being taught when I was in the space program, the way that they taught us. And unpacking some of the technology from that, there was a binaural component, and I started took the better part of a year, and I worked with I call them the Dans, and they don't. I'm not sure they're getting along these days, but Dan Winter and Dan Willis. I learned a great deal of science from both of them, and I have my own brand of binaurals with subliminal things that, like, for intent, like affirmations that are on a subliminal level, with
Mhm.
bilateral and isotronic sounds, all layered, 7, 8 tracks layered with slight music score, white noise and
Mhm.
brown noise, pink noise, like in different places. And they're profoundly effective. So I have a remote viewing
I
one. And what's that?
I was gonna say I grew up listening to those, and as we're talking, I'm remembering I was really big on hypnosis tapes because there were tapes back then, and this one would be to quit smoking, this one would be to quit gambling or whatever, and it was just music, but I was always fascinated how they would layer stuff. So I was always doing research on that whole industry of hiding it subliminally. But yeah, I
It's
didn't know
very
that Monroe had all that stuff from ETs. That just blows my mind.
so the ones that I got are based on collapse from Dan Winter from plankfire.com. The charge collapse down to the Planck distance. The harmonics are like that as well. And you kind of listen to a binaural, and it doesn't sound like it's like kind of like, okay, I'll put up with it. I'm getting a binaural. And you listen to it, and when you hit the right harmonic, it's soothing. You go, oh, that feels good, because it's collapsing perfectly by the golden ratio to the Planck. And there's several of them. So the whole system is tuned to that, and they're extremely effective. Uh, they've been a hit, to be honest. And so the sister company is called Psion.com,
Okay.
Psion.com, and those have been a big help in life. And so I have a successful one, and then there's one for grief that we're working on. I just did a healer one. There's a healing binaural, and the harmonic that it uses, I put through an obelisk. Man, it's been a long time since we talked, Doc. So I've
Yeah.
been busy.
Yeah.
Put through an obelisk from the harmonic, and the quartz component in the obelisk gets a mechanical shock and lets out static electricity, piezo static electricity, the same harmonic as the same hertz frequency as the harmonic. So when you listen to the binaural, you're also bathing in a cloud of static electricity, and it's cellular. And so the healing one is the same hertz that your cells give off when they divide. So when your cells divide, they have an electrical, like a little surge, to let the
They
cells
spark
around
it.
them know. And so when
Yeah.
you're in that one, yeah, it can heal. And my own experience, I was in pain. They were testing me for cancer. They never found it, but I was having pain and going to the doctor all the time. And I hooked a binaural up, and I play it by the obelisk, and I play it by my bed. After about 3 days, the pain went away, and I've been steadily getting better. So
Wow.
that science works in that regard. So I'm not promising it. This is not a medical diagnosis. I'm not a medical service, but
Right.
that's the science
Well,
behind it. And my girlfriend too had the same experience
yeah.
with her condition.
Well, like the science of bells and cathedrals,
That's
where
right.
their
The correct
windows
word.
actually being, harmonic frequencies, but in a visual form. And the fact that they took all these bells away, which were healing people in the towns. It was doing multiple things, not just making beautiful sound.
It's a Swiss Army knife technique. So that's what I found with what led me down the road was working with Dan Willis on Vogel crystals and the ability to program water. And then you can douse and see it. You can see
Mhm.
the field that the water gives off.
Mhm.
And when I
Yeah.
saw the obelisk in ancient Egypt, and at the Vatican and in Italy, and the places around the world, the Washington Monument, I started looking at it, said, they all have the same array. They have the same arrangement. It's the
Mhm.
same layout. The Vatican, if you look, and there's a river at the end of it, like they're pointing at the river. And I couldn't understand and it was a lot of work. I used AI to do the math. And what happens is these bells, like bells, for instance, if you ring 2 or 3 of them in the right correct position around a structure that's got quartz, the harmonic, basically when a harmonic hits a granite that's got quartz in it, the quartz lets off electricity, creates a
Wow.
wave of a static electricity, a very mild one. So the obelisks, I did the math, and it turns out an ultrasonic sound is the exact wavelength of these ancient sites: Karnak, the Vatican, Boboli Gardens, the Washington Monument, St. Louis Monument. I'm
Wow.
forgetting a bunch. Astana, Kazakhstan. It's all the same wave. A wave about 3/4 of a mile long at 227 kilohertz. And I asked, how could this happen? And it would be drums. You would set
Yeah.
drums, and you'd have to do 28 beats a minute. And that harmonic, when it hits the shape of the obelisk, would cause a resonant frequency cascade, and it would exist. So you're
Cascade.
talking about, yeah. So you're talking about um, a lower harmonic, a lower hertz hitting it, and then the
Mhm.
cascade creating a 227 kilohertz wave, and it purifies water. It causes microcavitation in the water, little micro bubbles, and oxygenates and kills the bacteria in the water. And so, right. So you go, Tony, that's great, man. You're woo, whatever. You're out of that's a great theory, Tony. Everybody's whatever. So then I went back to the history records, and the Vatican, if you look at the array, I looked at when the Vatican obelisk was erected, which was 1550, and I said, what was the water quality in Rome in the late 1400s? And it was terrible. It was an epidemic. The water, they were putting sewage into the river, and all of the
Yeah.
water was polluted, and it was a major deal. Everybody was sick, the whole city, for years, for decades. It was a major thing. It contributed to their death. The new pope that commissioned the obelisk had it built, and he was charged with water purity. And then so I said, what was the water quality after the obelisk was erected in 1575? And it was fixed. The water problem
Wow.
was gone. So you got the basilica, and you got the range. All they have to do every now and then is go beat drums or whatever the instrument they use. But it would work with drums. It would work with a dog whistle.
Hmm.
But they could sit and just put a harmonic onto the obelisk, and it would project for about 3/4 of a mile, a 227 kilohertz wave, and it would purify the water. So
Because the river would be basically running through it, and it would be a big filter.
yeah, it's like a
That
big
is,
wave, but they had it directed at the river. And so we see these in the Boboli Gardens, which is famous for its wine and its water quality in Florence, Italy. Like I said, the Washington Monument, it's the same thing. It's all over the place. There's buildings in Shanghai, Astana, Kazakhstan. It's a big water purification thing. Um, and then Karnak, the original place where these obelisks came from, was down the Nile, and the Nile was famously known to be drinkable, right, in ancient times.
wow. I've never heard of this of them being for and they are near water or where there was water.
So,
And
so then I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt you.
that's
I'm
okay.
passionate
Please go
about
ahead.
this. I put so much work into it. I made a smaller one, so I've made them. I use epoxy and quartz and barium titanate and a few other things, and I've had great results. You can see them. And what I do is we don't need music now. I have a Bluetooth and a little piezo pickup, and I can create a field in the house that does, like I said, next to me, the one that works, and I tune it to a certain frequency for remote viewing. And I've seen the remote viewing scores go up. So I can sit in this field of static electricity, and you're kind of tuned into your theta.
Amplify it.
Yes. Yep. And so
Wow.
I've had great results with it. And so we're offering them for sale. They're expensive to make. They're expensive, man. I don't have a ton of them. And I'm gearing up. It's hard to get powdered quartz, at least a lot of it.
Wow. Man, you have been up to a couple things.
I know. Well, and you know what? And here's what happened was I told my story. I wrote my book, Series Colony, and got on the trail and was researching it to prove it to people because I got beat up a little bit.
Mhm.
It's good to say hi to everybody. Hi, Doc.
Mhm.
And the research, and then comparing it with people that I met on the conference trail, on the conference road, comparing my research with people, led me to learn all this stuff. And so that's just kind of a natural progression. Like I'm connecting dots that people don't see. So that's all I've
Mm,
been doing.
wow, that's a big deal though.
We'll see. We'll see
So
if anybody likes them or not. I'm just scratching the surface. It's been only this year, and we're doing other stuff. But I do recommend the binaurals, the audio products. They are really good. They're
would it
30
be
minutes.
the Monroe ones or
No, the
yours?
ones
Or are you
I've
talking
been,
about yours?
yeah,
The ones you've been putting together?
the ones that I've been making are very effective, and I do recommend them.
And you have how many again?
I think there's 4 on Scion. There's 6 of them that are shorter that are on my Patreon in the shop on my Patreon. There'll be 12 in total. So if anybody goes there, just to sign up on the email list and you'll see them as they get released. It takes a month or 2 to make them. There are a lot of work goes into them. I just released the healer one last week, and I think it's one of the it came out well. Put it that way. It's a good recording.
Speaking of healer, I've been hearing a lot. I've known about it, but it's starting to make a comeback online. Is the 55515 that you think about a part of your body that's damaged? It's CIA code to ignore pain.
Oh wow.
Oh yeah,
No, that's
yes.
new to
Check
me.
this out. So the CIA had all these different types of techniques for their spies, right? So the spy gets shot, they need him to still go. So they taught him this method where you say 55515 over and over again as you're visualizing that part of your body that's hurt or damaged, and the pain will go away.
Hmm.
It's all these CIA documents that have been recently released. People have been finding it.
Right.
So
You can
yeah,
make a living off reading the CIA library.
really.
Oh
Are they
yeah, you
paying
can
people
make
to
a
do
living
it?
doing that. What's that?
Are they paying people to read it?
No, but I'm saying you can go in there and put any subject that you want into the declassified library and get all those documents and read them and then put a book together and tell about it and make a
Oh
great
wow.
book.
Oh
And
yeah,
you can
yeah,
just
good
crank that
idea.
stuff out all day long. My Beyond Sight is a collection of the evidence around. So I've got a bunch of CIA documents in there declassified in that book, Beyond Sight.
Wow.
Um, like that. I spent most of it. It's a short book. It's not a super great format. It's a short book, but the content is dense and powerful. I put a lot of research into it, and it's around
Mhm.
the remote viewing research and development. Other people, some of the bigger groups of remote viewers that are out there, don't even know about Grill Flame. Everybody starts as
Mm.
Project Center Lane or Project Stargate. They knew about that. They didn't know about Grill Flame, where all the research and development came from. And so that's the paper
Wow.
trail. That's what we were. They thought they were using clone kids, but they didn't know we came from the secret space program level of classification. Is where the kids came from. And we went through the program, and I went to Peru, was a field operational psychic for drug runners for the
Mm.
narcos in Peru for 2 years. And when I lost the ability, they sent me to Seattle, and I lived there for 2 summers, and then sold me off into the space program. And I went to the moon and Mars, and then Ceres colony. Sorry,
It's
I,
just
I
so
feel like
weird when
I'm
hear somebody say they sold me off. It's man, it's just crazy. Now let me ask you, a lot of these programs, you have the Freedom of Information Act. Do you think they're releasing more because they have to, or because they kind of just want to give up, say, here, yeah, it's time for everybody to.
Yeah, I think it's like a breadcrumb trail, but there's a lot of things that are not released. I was actually just looking at stuff yesterday, and I couldn't get the document to open. Like they release what they
Mm,
want. There's still a lot of classified information. You get on these documents and you get down, scroll down, and there are 5 or 6 pages blacked out. So there's still a lot of things that don't make it to the free through that. The 20-year thing. There's still things that stay classified.
yeah, yeah. Well, it's an interesting world we live in, and I truly feel we all chose to be alive this time because all the craziness that's coming. You
It
know.
is a pretty juicy time if you think about it. If you can get your head out of the hate of the political scene, like they
Hmm.
programmed a lot of people to hate a lot of people. So if you can
Yeah.
kind of let go and step back and say it's not that bad, no matter how bad it gets, and kind of let go of it,
Hmm.
because they've done it through making people hate. Like people look on their phone and every single scroll is a hateful somebody screaming and yelling. It's like if you can put that away We live in an amazing time right now. We really do.
Yeah.
Some of the best
Yeah.
years. It really does.
Well, at the event, you said you might do some remote view training,
I'd love
some
to.
basics or something. Okay.
I'd love to do that so I was just at the Rise of the Guardians conference for Team Light here in Sedona last week. And I
Okay.
spoke on Sunday. I presented my slideshow on Sunday. And then on Tuesday, we had a library. I did a workshop. And there were about 40 or 50 people showed up. And I just covered, my basic remote viewing. A lot of people had never heard of it, remote viewing. So, yeah, no, I'm
Yeah.
happy to do any
You'd
of
be
that.
surprised.
I teach online. It's like $50 a month. But it's we every week we meet in person in a
Wow.
Zoom call on Sundays. I have 3 groups, a Saturday and 2 on Sunday, and I teach remote viewing, and it's wonderful to see people progress. It really is. People come in and they're like, "I just think this is cool. I'm going to check it out." And they try it a couple of weeks and they're like sputtering. They go, "I don't know." And then third or fourth week they start drawing pictures of the target, and it's really wonderful to see
Yeah.
their shock when I open the envelope and show them the, "Wow, you got it." It's
Yeah.
fun.
No, yeah, because I got to work with Major Ed Dames and I get to try that, and it is it is an experience. Actually, the first time I tried it, before I ever met him, I ordered his DVDs, and I didn't stick with it, and I didn't. I did a session and never signed out. And yeah, I was in like 18, 19, something like that. And I was kind of tripping out over it all. I was hearing, seeing things. I mean, my I was like wide open. And I had a book from Jim Mars. I don't remember which one it was, but it was by the author Jim Mars, and his phone number was on the back. Oh no, it was a book about remote viewing. That's why I had it. And his phone number was in there in the back. So I called him and he answered it and he talked me down and showed me how to clock out and and whatnot. And yeah, but I've
Depending on
always
the target, what
since
kind of
then
target was it?
feel like I'm always on somehow.
The first time your session, what was the target? Do you remember?
No, we were just screwing around, me and a friend. So it
Playing with a
wasn't like a controlled what?
It's like playing with a Ouija board.
That's exactly what I was doing. Not until after I met him. Major James did, I take it seriously. But yeah, so yeah, Jim Mars, he saved my life. But anyway, so what are your plans coming up here in the future?
It's a big year. I've been working. I spent most of my time. I moved to Sedona last August, and I spent a lot of the
Mhm.
time developing the science. So Scion.com. We did a lot of research and development for the learning program, and that's still going under. There's an AI component. It's expensive, and so I'm finding investors. It's like running a company, but we're in the research
Mhm.
and development of that. It's adaptive media per student. And so it's got a lot of promise to be a faster, more effective way of learning. And some of these technologies, the Obelisk technology is one of the things that was reverse engineered for that, and the binaural technologies. All of these components very powerful. When we streamline stuff that they've been using against us to actually help us, it's very powerful. So, geez, I forget. I've been working on that, and I spent most of the year developing the obelisk and the binaurals. And so now that those are kind of done, we're moving on to a Gansfeld technology that I remember from the program as well, like a classified technology that was like military grade telepathy. And so I'm
Mhm.
working on that. I'm working with a 3D printing engineer um, here in Arizona. Um, but we're putting that together, and that's my next project. I'm
So,
hoping to get another book, and then I leave next May I leave in May next month for the UK to speak in Devonshire, UK, at the Galactic Spiritual Informers Connection Conference. Um, that's Danny Hendrickson's show, and when I get back, I'll be coming to see you and coming out there. I look forward to that. That's going to be a nice. I'm going to
mhm.
treat it like a vacation, man. It sounds like a very intimate, relaxed venue. We'll go out there
Yeah.
and hang out, and it's going to be intimate, so everybody can connect, and so that'll be really good. I'll be less presenting and more asking questions or letting people ask questions. So
Yeah.
look forward to that. That's going to be good. And I think, what is that, May? And then August, I'm presenting in France at the Rencontres Galactiques 3. And so that's a wonderful blessing of an opportunity to go travel back to Europe. And then another one in North Carolina in September. So I've been in the speaking engagements are good, even though that there was a time when I took all of them, and they really, if you go I was on the road every month last year, and it really wears you down, and you think you're doing one thing and you're not, you're doing another kind of thing. So
you don't have time to read it. Yeah.
less of those, and then I've been tapering into working on the learning system because it shows a lot of promise. We have a lot of work to do, but it shows a lot of promise. I'm very optimistic. I want that to be my career, so that's my career choice. But yeah, right now it's the remote viewing. I'm making a living off teaching remote viewing, and it's very enjoyable. It's a very enjoyable thing.
Yeah, no, that's good stuff. And the fact that so many people want to learn. All right, I'm going to show everybody the promo real quick, so stick around. I'll be right back. Check it out, folks.
Have you ever attended a large conference or event with hundreds of attendees? One that features notable speakers that you hope to ask a single question or at least get an autograph or selfie? Well, the time has come for the opportunity of a lifetime. 1028 Productions and Entertainment is pleased to announce our exclusive inclusive events occurring each weekend in May and June 2025. These events will be held at a private 40-acre ranch in the White Mountains of Arizona. You and 19 other VIP guests will have a once-in-a-lifetime weekend to spend quality time with prominent speakers. The weekend includes discussions, activities, workshops, UFO watching, campfires, meals, barbecues, and nightly entertainment. Scheduled to attend are Tony Rodriguez, James C. Goodall, Michael Schratt.
You're going to DE 25.
Ben Chasteen, Brad Olson, David Nino Rodriguez, Ryan Patrick Burns.
Holy shit.
Oh yes, but wait, there's more. Travis Walton, Quincy Roser, Rex Bear, Brooks Agnew, Mike Barra, J.J. Ainsworth, Marina Seren.
So many to choose from.
Can I continue? Laura Eisenhower, Lily Nova, Daryl James, Aaron Kuhn, and Tyler Kiwala, Jeff Harmon, Camille James Harmon, John D'Souza, Tom Reed, Christopher LaPrath, and Michael Mazzola. Your registration fee covers meals, lodging, and open bar, and musical entertainment on Saturday and Sunday nights. Lodging will be provided at our local hotel, the Green Tree Inn, for said weekend. April 20th is the final deadline. For more detailed information and to register for one of these events, go to 1028productions.com/DEE25. Reserve your spot today, as there is limited availability.
That's a cool commercial. That's a cool commercial.
Thanks. Worked on it for a while, but yeah, it will be something unlike any other. So yeah, tickets are on sale. You can go to the website that was on the site or down below on the scroll showing you the schedule, and get your ticket now, and it covers all those things. And it'll be a trip like no other. I think you guys will enjoy it. So, all right. Let's see. I was having the other guys, but I guess they got tied up. So yeah. So you got the whole show to yourself. So, God, I have so many other questions, but
Hey, lay 'em on me.
Well, I don't know. It's like I had a whole list, and then they all just vanished. But a lot of this stuff that you talk about, I've been attracted to since I was a kid, ever since I had that one experience when I was a child, and all this stuff like Stranger Things and the Montauk Project, just it's like it resonates. And so, what do you think about this awakening? I mean, I was told, like in the GATE program, that they divided us up into two categories. One was the obedient and one were the rebels. The obedient they put into, grooming status, and then they put them into, big key locations, positions. Whereas the rebels, they knew that eventually we would have the same skill sets and we would be a problem. So they did a lot of hypnotizing us, and got us to where we would struggle. We wouldn't ever be able to fully succeed. I've noticed this a lot that I've spoken with and watched videos that are experienced, gay kids, and it seems to be the same thing, but they're all waking up. They're all remembering this now. And when I thought maybe because I talk about this stuff so often, maybe I thought it was just me, but I asked my mother. I said, "Do you remember a gay program?" She said, "Yeah, you were in it." Holy shit! So that was a big confirmation for me. But it's all coming to light, and with all these movies coming out, I feel like it's all setting us up for something big. What do you think?
Absolutely. I think they're moving towards a disclosure. Um, we'll see who we get on the other side, if it's people or grays or reptiles or whatever it is, but we're going to get disclosure of a great deal of advanced technology. They're going to blame it on AI, like, hey, we made this AI, now we can do this. Look at, and here's the ETs, or however they plan on it. But you can see that that's what's going on. When you look at the things, I always say this, when you look at the events in the world today, it looks like the billionaires,
Mhm.
because really, our political system is American billionaires against European billionaires against Asian billionaires. That's really
Yeah.
who's voting for what. Um,
Brass tacks. Yeah.
so what I'm saying is that class of people that are really invested, they're really that they earn off the current system. So the system pays them right now. We all
Mhm.
pay it. We're all subservient to it. The people that are earning off the
Yeah.
system are behaving as if there's a game of musical chairs, and the music is about to stop. And some of them are
Wow.
going to be stuck without chairs. And you can see that's what's going on. They're like desperate to get their agenda across. You see it. There's absolute desperation because they know that there's going to be a major change in the hierarchy of the world soon. Once they have a disclosure, like we're to the point where they can't hide life anymore. The technology is too advanced. Like we're um, you can build something in your garage that detects life out there. So
Mhm.
and that's kind of where we're at right now. And they're going to have to come clean with us. And you can see it. You can see it come. We all feel it. Everybody
Mhm.
feels it. The other thing
Yeah.
is that people in general are becoming more, with lack of a better term, psychic, psychoenergetic. People in general
Yeah.
across the board understand psychic phenomenon now. Like there are people that are. Um, I think it's I think it's some kind of local thing, in space or the Earth, heart, whatever it is, the sun's beaming us with super light or our DNA. I don't know, man. Put it in the water. I don't
I was
have an
just thinking like Superman and the sun, energizing
yeah,
us.
the sun's changing to yellow. We're getting our powers. Whatever the cause, I don't know. But there is evidence that people across the board, when you look at things like the telepathy tapes, that series, it's a podcast. We see kids that are very profoundly, they're both autistic and profoundly telepathic.
Mhm.
um, Hypnotism. So there are people that were under hypnosis 20, 30 years ago, and they all had the same experience. And only the psychic ones had a certain experience during their session. And now nothing's changed, but everybody has the experience that the psychics have. So something happened where so, I always love quoting this. This is Suzanne Spooner, a dear friend of mine, who is one of the prominent QHHT hypnotist practitioners in the United States, if not the world.
Okay.
Studied directly under Dolores Cannon personally. She said that back when they were doing it, only people be under for 3 hours, and they'd ask them when they woke up, "Do you remember anything?" And everybody said no. People that were professional psychics or people that had intuitive ability, would remember the session. They said, "Do you remember your?"
Mhm.
Yeah, and they would remember it. And now they do it, and she said everybody remembers their session. So nothing's changed.
Wow.
Nothing has changed. They haven't changed. It's the same exact session. It's the same method and it's random people, but now very few people don't remember their session, according to her. So that's a data. What that is a canary in the coal mine that mankind has somehow changed. So our consciousness, collective consciousness, changed for some reason.
Anything that has to do with the Earth's resonance that's been going off the scale lately?
And that. So, and you know what? The Schumann resonance is one of the frequencies, excuse me, that does go to the Planck distance. It does collapse to the Planck. So it's one of the primary ones that I use. I have YouTube, or what is it called? The Remote Viewing Collective on YouTube. I have a like a meditation video on there, and it's a Schumann resonance. And these are great. This is a great hertz to listen to and to broadcast during the remote viewing or a meditation. Um, so
Hmm.
yeah, we're
All
seeing it
right.
get stronger, and maybe that's the whole reason. Maybe we solved it. There, case closed.
Okay. On this last one, um, uh, is a pretty big doozy. Uh, I'm going to assume let's just think it's a mixture of theories. All right. Have did you notice the North Pole South Pole orbit with SpaceX?
I didn't watch
Did
the
you? Did
video.
you?
I saw the clip, but tell me.
Yeah. Well, I didn't see no entrance to the Hollow Earth. I didn't see no opening. There was a lot of cloud coverage and there was a lot of ice. But there was also a very large crater in Greenland that they discovered. It was like several miles wide. And um, other videos have been going around on a spiritual level talking about the 200 fallen angels and that there are 190 plus huge craters all around the same size. And that in Kazakhstan or Kazakhstan, the one that Borat makes fun of, is actually one of the richest cities in the world. And they
Astana,
have a
Kazakhstan.
pyramid. Yeah, they have the pyramid in the center, and upstairs they have a room with 200 chairs around a big table. It makes you wonder: have you guys ever? Well, you aren't responding like you've remote viewed them before, but have you?
So that no, that city Astana in Kazakhstan is exactly laid out like the water purification. It's exactly laid
Hmm.
out for that wave to be generated in a big way, and they've dammed up the water to be in that area. If you look at it, like that whole city is laid out like a machine, like one
Yeah,
of these
and some of
ancient
them, when you look from above, they look
cities
like
that
circuit breakers.
yeah. Well, I'm saying they have a quartz tower. It's in my book. That city is in my book. The diagram is literally
Wow.
in my book, and that's one of them. So there's somebody there that designed that city knew about this technology, the water purification, and among other things. Like I believe that you can charge water electrically, not chemically, with chemical properties. So there's
What
a
if
lot of
the
research.
Earth is organic? What if the Earth is an organic computer?
I mean, I'm
And all these cities and the pyramids, these are all lined up like circuits and stuff. And then we have these pyramids with the rods going down, so many miles to what I theorized the first time I saw it and brought up on with Brad Olson was they look like gigantic Baghdad batteries. That's hard to say. Baghdad batteries.
we're moving quick, but all I know about the Earth being some kind of giant computer is the only thing I know is I don't know it all. So I wouldn't doubt it. I definitely would not say no, it couldn't be, because it could.
Yeah.
When they first came out with that diagram of the surveys of the structure underneath the Khafre pyramid, I took
Mhm.
to AI, and it really is the layout of a solid state generator. And so I
Oh
did the
wow.
math on it. I took the size and the dimensions and the known components because we don't know what it's made of down there. And they said the math worked out that it was a solid state generator that would generate 6,700 kilowatts per day,
Wow.
and that's enough to power about 250 American homes. That's how much power,
Wow.
and forever. And it's not, you don't have to feed it. It's a solid state generator, not a fossil fuel one or a wind powered or something. It's solid state. So very advanced technology, and an idea to get down that far is also very advanced. Like nobody, they couldn't dig that hole. Nobody could dig that hole back then.
Well, what I was also thinking, I had three theories when I talked to Brad on the first show was the Baghdad battery. And then the diagrams that they show, you see the top of the sand layer and it goes all the way down. And my first thought was, you take away all that sand as if it was from a mud flood, and you replace it with the ocean, and you have a stone, like it looked like an oil derrick, that could be in the ocean. made of stone. The triangle is solid. It's the perfect shape for any kind of waves or tsunamis that it'll be able to take it. But that was the other theory that I had. And he's like, it's possible
It would be
because we didn't
quite
know
deep.
much. Huh?
It would be quite deep, so we would have evidence somewhere else of that much Earth being moved. I don't
Yeah,
know.
move somewhere else. Yeah, and they're saying that they also did these radar exams, not radar exams, scans at other pyramids around the world, and they were finding similar things. Have you heard of this?
No, I haven't, but that was the first thing I posted that on social media. I said, now do Teotihuacan. Let's have a look at
Hmm.
these other pyramids that are the same size and the same layouts of the Giza plateau. For one, so
Yeah.
Dan Winter has always theorized that the pyramids have the ability to tune gravity, so they
Uh
could
huh.
change the orbit of the rotation of the Earth or tune the gravity. And he said that's what they built them for, was to fine tune and change our orbit or the
Mhm. Someone said it
tidal.
was to keep us from wobbling so that the waves would be consistent. They're like counterbalance weights.
That's his theory.
Um,
That's one theory. So
yeah.
whether that's the case, I don't know. But we have all these theories coming out. But like I said, the water aquifer that those boxes are in would generate negative charged ions. And when you look at the size of it and do the math of the material and the size, it would generate about 6,700 kilowatts per day. To put it in
Wow.
perspective, Las Vegas generates 63 million kilowatts a day.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Very small compared to what we have with fossil fuels, but still low maintenance. It's forever. You know what I mean? It still
Uh-huh.
is generating, even though it's broken. It doesn't have the insulator, the limestone insulator cap on the outside of it, so it's not insulated. Most of those ions just escape. So when they had it insulated, it would generate power at the top.
Do
Um,
you do you do you think that these pyramids could ever one day be re-energized, or you think they're petrified? They did their time.
well, like I said, the limestone is an insulator. So the Great Pyramids were white. They were covered with a layer of limestone. They were literally like it's like as if a wire had rubber. The blocks conduct, and especially the granite blocks on the inside are piezo, the same as my obelisk, the same as the other obelisks that I'm saying have that effect. That sound could create the
Yeah.
hertz of sound that you could cause a cascade resonance. So there's a lot of factors in there that I think that we are unaware of from that technology. I think there's a lot of things when I look at the obelisk now that I look at the obelisk and I have them here, so I can test them. I actually have a meter and I can see the volts per meter that it's
Wow.
putting out. Like I can see, I can. It's physical. Like it's not wooey stuff. I'm not making an
Yeah.
orgon pyramid. You can't tell. Like this thing, you turn it
Right.
on, you get results. People can feel it in the room. What I found is that when we run different harmonics, it's like a Swiss Army knife of purpose.
Mm,
It does many different things. It does many things.
mhm.
Like the water purification is one thing that these big, it's a great idea. It's probably what they were doing predominantly, but you can change the frequency and do they have other psychoenergetic. That's the whole reason that led me into the research was that it was psychoenergetic monuments, because I realized that we were using peripherals in the program, in the Grow Flame program in Inyokern. We had peripheral technology that made remote viewing more effective. And so I looked at these monuments and I went, oh God, these are monuments that you could do for remote viewing for the people,
Yeah.
and God knows what else, and other things that I can't say.
Mm. Well, we'll save them till and see if people can come ask you personally at the event.
Yeah.
And man, I really appreciate you coming on today. It's always a pleasure. Um, always a learning experience every time I talk with you. So thank you again, and I look forward to seeing you soon. I will be. I'll call you later this week because I wanted to chat with you on some other things. But I really do. I appreciate you coming tonight
Oh man, I'm
or
honored
today.
to
I'm
be
so used
part
to
of
doing night show. This afternoon thing is weird.
yeah. No, I'm honored to be part of your
So
conference schedule. I think it's a great event you're putting together. I think there's a lot of value the way you have it structured. It's going to be a beautiful time. So I'm really really happy to be part of it. Thank you for having me.
well, thanks. All right. Well, thanks for everybody for hanging out with us today. and enjoying the show. Remember, go check it out at www.1028-productions.com/DE25. And we'll see you there. Remember, folks, as long as we all lift each other up, we will all rise together. This is the Doc Skinner podcast. See you guys tomorrow. It'll be a surprise. We'll see. Laura Eisenhower should be here, and Mike Barra. And we might have some other surprises. We'll see. It's kind of been flying by the seat of its pants lately, so let's just go with it. All right. You all have a great day. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.